Hello everybody and welcome to the next episode of Peteman Reviews. Today we are looking at the Unite Warriors Combiner Wars variant of the Decepticon Blastoff. Now in the previous review I talked a bit about Vortex and being a retooled version of the aerial bot Alpha Bravo, and how the Vortex wasn't in the original release. Talking absolute garbage, Vortex was of course in the original release, but interestingly enough, Blastoff is where the figure gets even more peculiar. So in the, I keep wanting to say Marvel, I mean to say Hasbro release, so for the UK and the US, Blastoff was a member, but he was portrayed as a Harrier jump jet. Indeed, I understand he was a retool of something called Quicksilver. Which sounds to me more like one of the area bots being retooled again. What's the name of the jump jets? What I'm called? I can't remember, but if I do, I'll put it in the comments, or someone else can remind me and put it in the comments for me. For the Unite Warriors release, they didn't remold someone. They made a brand new mould for Blastoff, which I'm not aware that that's actually happened before. Normally you get someone who's retooled to get the correct colour scheme. For example, Vortex being a retooled version of Alpha Bravo in both the original, as in the Hasbro versions and the Takara versions, but the Stunticons had a retooled member to get the missing or the correct member. Aerial bots, same deal. But with the Combaticons, you get a brand new mould for Blastoff, who then gets retooled subsequently for many other variants, but anyway, regardless. So that's, as far as I'm aware, that's not happened before or since, so it's quite nice to get it. Particularly as I was unaware of this until I was reading up about it on Transformers Wiki before giving this presentation. So in terms of the shuttle, well, it's a slightly updated shuttle, as you can see. So it's kind of takes a little bit of liberties with the shuttle design, but you've got quite nice, you've got more than quite nice, you've got rockets here, you've got the delta wing configuration here, this wing being a bit further forward than normal, so you get some new little plates here. Half decent canopy. It is of course hollow here to aid the transformation, which perhaps lets it down a little bit, because you kind of feel like it'd be nice if there were a piece of plastic just to cover over there, but particularly when we take this, what's meant to be missiles launcher, off the way, you get a very nice side, or particularly very nice forward top-down view of the shuttle too. Well, that's very nicely. He gets a little gun here which does fit into shuttle mode, or if you don't wish it to fit there, you can fit it in, like so, which perhaps works better than having this great big foot or hand weapon in there instead. So yeah, I think it's a very nice combiner. I'm just going to take this out of the way because, as I've said many times, I'm not a big fan of these. Again, this one at least is slightly unique, and you've got missiles. It almost looks a bit like Optimus Prime's G1 trailer section, where you have the missiles which shoot out. So it reminds me a lot of though it's been moulded from that. So at least it's different from some of the other things, but in terms of the hand or the foot, we've seen it all before. So we'll put it to one side for the moment. Yeah, it's quite a decent shuttle, and let's say, but considering the fact they went to the effort to make a new mould just to get the character right, and not have it as a Harrier jump jet, I've got to give them extra credit for that, Takara, because it would have been all too easy just to repaint the jump jet in the correct colours, rather than give us the correct mould as well. And that must have cost them, okay, it's a basic mould, but then you've got to pay extras for all of this, so you know, that must have cost them a pretty penny to do that. Works well. Interestingly, you've got the Decepticon symbols in different formations with the way it transforms. So that's a slight unusual variant. I suppose it means that whichever way he's flying, up or down, you've always got a correctly placed Decepticon symbol. Okay, so let's transform him into robot mode. So I'm going to start off by just untabbing the arms. It's the fairly standard tab in, tab out option now. Okay, so this part here we now need to just bend up like that, and then the whole thing will slide back here. Sometimes it pops off, so this is probably one of the most fiddliest parts. So you've kind of got plastic moving over where it doesn't really want to move, but anyway. Right, that folds in down there, and then this whole chest piece goes on the front like so to create a fairly large chest, but that stores all these parts. Arms then flip up like that, flip up again like that, and then you've got the arm movement like that. Now flip up the delta wings like so. And then these are the fairly standard flip down arrangement, locking like that. So you flip that down, locks in there. Now for the feet, these flip down like so, and then they flip up like that, flip up like that, and then you do just want to rotate the waist so that you've got the boosters at the front. And there we are. We'll just give him his gun. And there we are. That is Blast Off in his shuttle mode transformed to the robot. So as you can see, it's heavy on what appears to be lots of blasters pointing at you, because you've got rocket exhaust there, and there as well. So you've got a lot of blasters pointing at you. But all told, I quite like it. It's one of the robots that it's more obvious that it's a transformation of the shuttle into the robot, because you can see obvious shuttle parts still present. Kibble, I guess you could call it, but is it kibble? Because again, as a robot, he doesn't need those parts. So particularly these is what I'm talking about more than anything, and I guess those parts there, they're obvious shuttle parts, so he obviously doesn't need them as a robot. But they form his hands and his feet, so he does need them as a robot, yet you can clearly see what the different transformation version is. We take a look at Onslaught, and from that angle it's not entirely obvious what parts of the truck are present in the robot, because you've got fake headlights here, but other than that it's more evident as being robot pieces rather than truck pieces. Whereas Blast Off, you've got what are obviously blasters, rockets, present in the robot mode. So it's both perhaps truer to a transformation style, and also weaker at the same time, in that it's obviously a robot, but it's compromised by the other design, or is it, given the other design is needed to make the robot. I could go on about this forever and probably never explain myself very well, so we'll shut up about that and just talk about Blast Off as the robot. Overall, it works alright. As you can see from the, so put it on this side on view, he's obviously, his chest is significantly larger than most other Transformers. However, it's compensated somewhat by having larger feet as well, so it's considerably well balanced. I mean, the size of the foot is disproportionately large with the need to accommodate these blasters, so it makes for a very stable figure. You can do that, for example, and it's quite a stable figure. You've got all the normal posability and things as well, so it's very posable. It does look like Blast Off, and I think it works well. Maybe it's not quite as sleek as Vortex, or perhaps quite as good a figure as Onslaught, but it still works very well, and as I say, it gives that interesting compromise between the needs of the plane, or in this case the space shuttle, transforming into the robot. So it doesn't have excess wheels like you would with, say, Optimus Prime or Onslaught or Swindle, but he does have excess blasters, but I guess they form a purpose in the robot mode, so I don't really know whether that counts as kibble or not. And what I suppose it does do is give an obvious reference to go back to the different modes as well, where some of the others perhaps aren't quite as obvious. Overall, it's a decent figure, and as I say, it's very welcome that Takara took the special effort to make a mould specifically to get the proper version of Blast Off, and not a Harrier jump jet that's just called Blast Off, which just would not be correct at all. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next review. Thank you. Goodbye.